B&B spoilers Friday, December 12th, a wedding reception to remember for Hope and Liam. The bold and the beautiful spoilers for Friday, December 12th, 2025, tease quite an eventful wedding reception for Lope. Hope Logan, Annika Noel, is now Hope Logan Spencer again after marrying Liam Spencer, Scott Clifton, for the fourth time. It was a beautiful living room ceremony, as nobody can ever get married anywhere else, no matter how wealthy they are. Oddly enough, there are barely any Forresters in attendance. The bold and the beautiful spoilers, romance turns to chaos? Kelly Spencer, Sophia Parras, was there, and Brooke Logan, Catherine Kelly Lang, since she is married to Ridge Forrester, Torsten K. Where was Kelly's mother, Steffi Forrester Finnegan, Jacqueline McInnes Wood? Who knows? But she wasn't at her sister-wife's wedding. Everything seems to go off without a hitch, as Beth Spencer marries her parents with her brother, Douglas Forrester, Henry Joseph Samary, also there. Hope and Liam can't believe they found their way back to one another on such a perfect day. But will something go wrong very soon? Check out our weekly B&B spoilers, here. Will Sheila ruin everything? Sheila Carter, Kimberlyn Brown, was butthurt when she learned she wasn't invited to her own stepdaughter's wedding. She nearly had a cow in Taylor Hayes, Rebecca Budig, office, not understanding why nobody could accept her when she swears she has changed and shown she has changed. Little did Sheila know that a child didn't want her there, and that is why she wasn't invited. Beth is deathly afraid of Sheila after hearing so many bad things about her. She doesn't like that Sheila is her step-grandma and she didn't want her anywhere near her parents' wedding. Is Sheila about to crash the wedding and cause problems that could lead to the end of her marriage, or does she stay put and take Taylor's advice? Perhaps someone else crashes the reception. Where is Douglas' dad? Did he send Douglas back to Los Angeles by himself, or is Thomas Forrester, Matthew Akisnon, somewhere lurking? Hope and Liam's happiness seems too good to be true, so something has to get in their way, right? Why not introduce a new/old triangle immediately? The air at Bill Spencer's mansion on Friday, December 12th, was thick with the scent of lilies, expensive champagne, and the fragile, hard-won happiness of Hope Logan Spencer and Liam Spencer. After what felt like a lifetime of waffling, near-death experiences, breakups, makeups, and the general dramatic chaos that defines life in Los Angeles, Lope had finally done it again. They were married, for the fourth time, if you're keeping a meticulous scorecard, and the wedding reception was meant to be a joyful exhale, a moment of blissful peace before the inevitable storm clouds of the bold and the beautiful inevitably gathered once more. But beneath the surface of toasts, tears of joy, and the gentle chatter of the small, intimate gathering, a deep, pervasive sadness hung in the air, a silent, almost tragic undercurrent that no amount of bubbly could wash away. Crying faced the pain of exclusion, Sheila's uninvited presence. The most immediate and agonizing source of sorrow was the conspicuous absence of one key figure, Sheila Carter. Deacon Sharp's wife and Hope's unofficial stepmother, Sheila, was firmly, and painfully, excluded. The decision was, heartbreakingly, driven by Hope and Liam's daughter, Beth. The innocent, perceptive child, having been exposed to the dark history and the chilling reputation of the notorious villainess, made it clear that Sheila's bad vibes were not welcome on her parents' special day. Beth, who even officiated the sweet, family-focused ceremony, held the power, and she wielded it not out of malice, but out of a child's pure, instinctual need for safety. The tragedy here is twofold. Sheila's spiral, despite her genuine, if terrifyingly possessive, belief that she has changed and earned a place in Deacon's family, the snub was a devastating blow. The reception was a public, painful declaration that the rest of the family, the Logans, the Forresters, the Spencers, will never truly accept her. Sheila, reeling in Taylor Hayes' office, vented her fury and pain, her conviction and her changed self crumbling under the weight of this universal rejection. The sadness here is for the monster who desperately wants to be a mother and a grandmother but is condemned by her past, a past she simply cannot outrun, no matter how many times she swears she's turned over a new leaf. Deacon's dilemma. Hope's father, Deacon, was beaming with pride at his daughter's happiness, making heartfelt speeches and basking in the glow of his family. Yet, every smile was tainted by the knowledge that he was celebrating while his wife, the woman he professes to love, was isolated and hurting. His attendance, and his inability to fully stand by Sheila in this moment, is a profound source of future sorrow. It's a tear in the fabric of his new marriage, a choice that will inevitably drive a wedge between him and Sheila, potentially sending him straight into the arms of the empathetic Taylor Hayes. This division in Deacon's loyalties is a ticking time bomb, the saddest of future spoilers. Broken heart, the specter of the past, will Lope last? As Hope and Liam gazed into each other's eyes, raising toasts to their future, the other profound source of sadness was the collective, unspoken question hanging over the room: will this time be different? This is the fourth time they have legally married, after years of a tumultuous, agonizing cycle defined by Liam's waffling between Hope and Steffi. While Liam has done some soul-searching, acknowledging how quickly he used to flip-flop, the audience knows the history. The very foundation of Lope is built on past heartbreak. The weight of their history, Hope's emotional year, which included a career upheaval and a brief engagement to Carter Walton, and Liam's own close call with death, are the catalysts for this reunion. It feels like a beautiful, emotional reaction to trauma, not necessarily a sustainable, rock-solid partnership. The sadness is rooted in the fear that this perfect day is merely a temporary reprieve before the inevitable, the next misunderstanding, the next moment of doubt, the next time Steffi needs a shoulder to cry on. Missing family members. The small guest list was meant to be intimate, but it also highlighted the missing pieces. Steffi Forrester Finnegan, Liam's other ex-wife and mother of his child, was nowhere to be seen. Her absence speaks volumes. It's a self-preservation move, a necessary distancing from a dynamic that has caused her endless pain. Furthermore, the patriarchs, Ridge Forrester and Eric Forrester, were absent, caught up in the simmering, sad tension over Eric's forced retirement. This family drama, which supersedes a major life event for Hope, casts a long shadow over the supposedly joyous occasion, reminding everyone that even on the happiest of days, the Forresters are fractured and dysfunctional. In a stunning twist that immediately follows the Lope reception, the spotlight shifts to Bill Spencer and Katie Logan. Bill, high on the joy of his son's reunion, decides that this family unity needs to be sealed with his own marriage. He gets down on one knee, proposing to a surprised Katie. On the surface, this is a heartwarming moment. But for BNB fans, it's a depressingly familiar sight. Bill and Katie have been down this road so many times it's worn a groove in the concrete. This is a heartwarming moment. But for BNB fans, it's a depressingly familiar sight. Bill and Katie have been down this road so many times it's worn a groove in the concrete. The profound sadness here is the lack of originality and the near certainty of future suffering. The Logan sister curse. Katie and Bill's relationship has always been haunted by Bill's undeniable, persistent pull toward Brooke Logan. How long can Katie truly be happy, knowing her husband harbors feelings for her sister? Her acceptance of his proposal, while driven by love and a desire for family stability, feels like a calculated surrender to an inevitable, painful outcome. This joy is borrowed time. The cycle continues. This new Beatty engagement immediately raises the stakes for every member of the family, ensuring the Logan sister dynamic remains central, complicated, and agonizingly sad for Katie. The wedding reception was a beautiful, fleeting moment of happiness, but the ensuing engagement is a stark reminder that the cycle of love, betrayal, and heartbreak is perpetually spinning on the bold and the beautiful. Ultimately, the wedding reception for Hope and Liam on Friday, December 12th, was a beautiful lie, a temporary bubble of peace. The joy was real, especially for the children, but the surrounding circumstances are deeply, tragically sad. From Sheila's agonizing exclusion and the looming destruction of Deacon's new family, to the heavy, historical doubt over Lope's endurance and the immediate reignition of the Beatty heartbreak cycle, this reception was not an end to drama, but a deceptively bright start to a new chapter of inevitable, deep-seated sorrow. The air in Los Angeles, usually thick with the scent of high-end perfume and fresh-cut roses, is currently vibrating with a far more volatile mix: joy, heartbreak, and the terrifying shadow of chaos. This week on The Bold and the Beautiful, what was meant to be the glorious, hard-won reunion of Hope Logan and Liam Spencer, the cherished Lope wedding, is instead becoming a flashpoint for one of the saddest truths in all of Forrester history. The romance is turning to chaos, and the fallout will be seismic. The calm before the storm, a fragile joy. For weeks, fans have watched Hope, Annika Noel, and Liam, Scott Clifton, navigate the rocky waters of their past to stand together once again. Their journey has been a testament to enduring love, especially after Liam's recent health scare and the revelation that a past tragedy, the Luna situation, was not as clear-cut as initially thought. Their daughter, little Beth, a symbol of their most complicated reunion, has been a beacon of hope, excitedly taking the reins to officiate their long-awaited recommitment ceremony. The image of the blended family, Liam, Hope, Beth, Douglas, and Kelly, finally finding a peaceful center point is the very definition of a soap opera's happily ever after. But in the world of B&B, happiness is a fleeting commodity, and the foundation of this particular ever after is built on sand. The grand gathering at the Spencer Mansion, a place that has hosted both the best and worst moments of their lives, is less a celebration of romance and more a powder keg waiting for a spark. Fire the uninvited guest, Sheila's volatile rage. The most immediate source of the encroaching chaos is, predictably, the most infamous villainess in daytime history, Sheila Carter, Kimberlyn Brown. After a desperate plea to Deacon Sharp, Sean Cannon, to be included in her stepdaughter's celebration, Sheila was hit with a brutal reality check: she is not welcome. Deacon, forced to deliver the crushing blow, knows that to appease the Logans and Forresters, he has to draw a firm line. This rejection, fueled by a desire for acceptance she will never earn and a festering sense of injustice, sends Sheila into a terrifying spiral. Her confrontation with Taylor Hayes, Rebecca Budig, is a masterclass in escalating tension. Taylor, acting as an unlikely, temporary voice of reason, sternly warns Sheila against crashing the wedding. But when Taylor makes the critical error of calling Sheila's potential actions crazy, the villainess snaps. The breaking point, a vase slammed, a chilling stare, and the demand to know if Taylor truly thinks she is insane, confirms everything everyone fears. This is the sad news: the pure joy of a wedding day for Hope and Liam is being overshadowed by the very real possibility of unhinged violence. Will Sheila listen to Taylor's warning, or is she already on the path to crash the ceremony, turning a happy moment into a nightmare that will forever scar Lope's new beginning? The fact that a couple cannot get married without the looming threat of a lunatic crashing the party speaks volumes about the pervasive lack of peace in their lives. Classical building: the war at Forrester, Eric vs. Ridge. While the romance of Hope and Liam dominates the spotlight, a deeply sad and equally chaotic power struggle is tearing apart the Forrester dynasty from within. Eric Forrester, John McCook, the family patriarch and creative soul of Forrester Creations, is in the fight of his life, not against a business rival, but against his own son, Ridge, Torsten K. Ridge's decision to organize a surprise forced retirement party for his father, under the guise of protecting his health, has wounded Eric more deeply than any corporate takeover ever could. Eric, rejuvenated and inspired by a new fashion line, feels betrayed, dismissed, and unheard. His passion for design, which he sees as his very life force, has been violently extinguished by the person he trusted most. The sad part of this narrative is the tragedy of good intentions gone wrong. Ridge genuinely believes he is doing what's best, but his high-handed actions have destroyed his father's pride and ignited a potentially devastating professional war. The conflict: Eric refuses to be pushed out. He's already declared he will launch his new line independently. The chaos: this sets the stage for a catastrophic Ridge vs. Eric fashion showdown, a battle that will force every member of the family and the company to choose sides. It threatens to splinter Forrester Creations, an outcome more heartbreaking than any love triangle. Police car light: the aftermath, new beginnings and old scars. Even if Hope and Liam manage to exchange their vows without Sheila physically intervening, the psychological chaos will linger. Every happy moment is now tainted by the knowledge that their family, which includes Sheila's husband Deacon and her potential victim Taylor, is fundamentally fractured. The wedding will conclude, but the instability of their world will not. Adding to the emotional turmoil is the other massive shakeup hitting the Spencer family. Bill Spencer, Don Diamont, is poised to propose marriage to Katie Logan, Heather Tom. While a proposal should be a joyous event, the timing, immediately following the wedding chaos, feels rash and desperate. Katie's dilemma: Katie has always loved Bill, but she knows his propensity for sweeping grand gestures often masks a deeply complex, and sometimes destructive, personality. Will this be a true commitment, or just another stop on Bill's endless carousel of dramatic declarations? The unspoken sadness, the shadow of Liam and Hope's struggle, as well as the ongoing nightmare of the Luna situation, Luna's fate and her unborn baby, weighs heavily on Bill and Katie. Their potential reunion is not one of pure, innocent romance, but one born from a desire to anchor themselves against the unrelenting storms of the Spencer and Logan clans. Factor: why romance is a powder keg. Ultimately, the central, sad news in this week's spoilers is a reflection of the bold and the beautiful's most enduring, yet most exhausting, theme: true romance is impossible. The current storylines reveal that every attempt at a pure, loving connection immediately becomes tangled in a web of external, destructive forces. Liam and Hope's wedding, the threat of a violent Sheila, the pressure of uniting fractured families, and the legacy of past infidelity, Liam's signature waffling, ensure their vows are spoken through clenched teeth. Eric's legacy, his romance with his creative muse, Forrester Creations, is violently ended by his own son, proving that even a life's passion cannot withstand family power struggles. Bill and Katie's proposal, their love story is less about passion and more about stability and family units, a melancholy truth that their relationship is defined by tragedy and external pressure rather than simple, peaceful bliss. The grand, hopeful image of Hope walking down the aisle, a vision of beauty and promise, is the heartbreakingly fragile centerpiece of a week where two separate, massive explosions, Sheila's breakdown and Eric's defiance, are set to tear the very fabric of the Forrester and Spencer families to shreds. The romance of the wedding is merely the stage for the true headline, the sad, unavoidable chaos of LA's elite. The air in Genoa City and Los Angeles is perpetually thick with anticipation, and today, that tension has reached a breaking point. The news rippling through the world of daytime drama is not of a simple corporate takeover or a forgotten love child, but of the seemingly inevitable, the return of chaos embodied. The central, agonizing question on every fan's lips is stark and terrifying: will Sheila Carter truly ruin everything? This question is more than mere soap opera hyperbole, it is a primal fear rooted in decades of calculated villainy. Sheila Carter, a name that evokes a collective shudder across two fictional cities, represents the ultimate, unpredictable threat. She is the human equivalent of a natural disaster, and her presence always foreshadows the loss of innocence, the destruction of happiness, and the agonizing fracture of beloved families. The looming shadow, Sheila's history of heartbreak. To understand the weight of today's sad news, one must first revisit the extensive and brutal trail of destruction Sheila has left in her wake. This is not a villain who simply schemes for money or power. Sheila craves connection, acceptance, and a place in the elite families, and when denied, her compulsion to destroy becomes absolute. On The Young and the Restless, her original haunt, her conflict with Lauren Fenmore is legendary, a twisted, murderous cat-and-mouse game that involved kidnapping, baby-switching, resulting in the tragic death of the infant, Dylan, and multiple attempts on Lauren's life. Sheila's return to Genoa City has always meant pain for the Fenmores and the Newmans, the latter being an enemy she frequently targets. Her daughter, Daisy Carter, even followed in her footsteps, threatening the family of Daniel Romalotti and the happiness of Phyllis Summers, the woman Sheila once surgically impersonated. Her dual soap nature on The Bold and the Beautiful only amplifies her danger. There, she has tormented the Forrester family, notably Eric, Stephanie, and Ridge, for years. Her more recent, and perhaps most devastating, appearance saw her revealed as the biological mother of Dr. John Finn Finnegan, the husband of Steffi Forrester. Her maniacal obsession with Finn and her grandson, Hayes, led to a confrontation where she accidentally shot her own son and then shot Steffi. And yet, even after her supposed death, a classic soap fake-out involving a lookalike, Janet Sugar Weber, she has continually resurfaced, proving herself to be the single most resilient and destructive force in the soap universe. Broken Heart, The Current Anxiety, Weddings, Vulnerability, and The Spiral. The sad news today stems from her most recent spiraling, often seen on The Bold and the Beautiful but holding massive implications for Genoa City due to her family ties there. The current events revolve around the wedding of Hope Logan and Liam Spencer, Lope. Even a happy event, a moment of unity and joy, cannot escape her toxic touch. Sheila, now married to Deacon Sharp, was uninvited to the wedding, a painful, yet entirely rational, decision driven by the discomfort and bad vibes felt by the young Beth, the daughter of the couple. This rejection has sent Sheila into a predictable, dangerous spiral. The latest spoilers confirm she visited Taylor Hayes' office, ranting about the snub and seemingly hoping for sympathy or friendship, which Taylor rightly refused. Taylor, having been a past victim of Sheila's schemes and violence, set clear boundaries, urging Sheila not to revert to her old ways and, most critically, not to crash the wedding. The very thought of Sheila near a celebration is a recipe for disaster. The sad news is not a catastrophe that has already struck, but the horrific premonition that it is about to. Will she lash out at Deacon? Her marriage has been an attempt at rehabilitation, but her self-pity and rage are potent forces that could instantly destroy Deacon's happiness. Will she crash the wedding? A grand, destructive entrance is her signature move. Ruining a wedding, especially one where she feels deliberately excluded, is a way to lash out at the entire Forrester and Logan legacy she so desperately wants to be part of. Will she target Taylor or Steffi? The recent confrontation with Taylor, where she was called crazy, even if later retracted, is a deep wound to her fragile ego. Her oldest and most obsessive target remains Steffi, Finn's wife. Any public display of happiness from the Forrester-Finnegan side of the family could trigger an immediate, violent reaction. The true tragedy, the cycle of pain. The profound sadness of the Sheila Carter narrative is not just the high body count or the dramatic flair, it's the way she forces good people into impossible situations and ensures that trauma echoes through generations. The very existence of her daughter, Daisy Carter, and granddaughter, Lucy Romalotti, in Genoa City links the two worlds in a web of potential pain. If Sheila's current spiral on BNB leads to her escaping or seeking a new target, the Newmans and Abbotts, who have a long-standing history with her, would be next. The real tragedy is the way she preys on the vulnerable. She shutters recovery. Characters like Taylor Hayes, who genuinely want to believe in redemption, are constantly forced to confront the harsh reality that some people simply cannot be changed. This betrayal of hope is deeply depressing. She steals joy. The sad news is that no one can truly celebrate or find peace as long as she is free. Every happy moment is fragile, waiting to be shattered by her unpredictable rage. Hope and Liam's wedding is tainted simply by the threat of her presence. She is a monster of manipulation. Her ability to be charming, remorseful, and utterly terrifying in the same breath is her most potent weapon. She makes others doubt themselves, sowing discord even when she is miles away. Today's news of Sheila's spiraling and her desperate need for validation, clashing so violently with the legitimate rejection she faces, reminds the audience that the moment a character finds peace, Sheila is waiting in the shadows. She is the enduring symbol of unforgivable trauma, and the collective factor, why romance is a powder keg. Ultimately, the central, sad news in this week's spoilers is a reflection of the bold and the beautiful's most enduring, yet most exhausting, theme: true romance is impossible. The current storylines reveal that every attempt at a pure, loving connection immediately becomes tangled in a web of external, destructive forces. Liam and Hope's wedding, the threat of a violent Sheila, the pressure of uniting fractured families, and the legacy of past infidelity, Liam's signature waffling, ensure their vows are spoken through clenched teeth. Eric's legacy, his romance with his creative muse, Forrester Creations, is violently ended by his own son, proving that even a life's passion cannot withstand family power struggles. Bill and Katie's proposal, their love story is less about passion and more about stability and family units, a melancholy truth that their relationship is defined by tragedy and external pressure rather than simple, peaceful bliss. The grand, hopeful image of Hope walking down the aisle, a vision of beauty and promise, is the heartbreakingly fragile centerpiece of a week where two separate, massive explosions, Sheila's breakdown and Eric's defiance, are set to tear the very fabric of the Forrester and Spencer families to shreds. The romance of the wedding is merely the stage for the true headline, the sad, unavoidable chaos of LA's elite. The air in Los Angeles, even amongst the glittering skyscrapers of Forrester Creations, is thick with a familiar, suffocating dread. The wedding of Hope Logan and Liam Spencer, a monumental event meant to signify fresh starts and happy ever afters, has become an anxiety-ridden countdown. The reason? The singular, terrifying presence of the queen of daytime villainy, Sheila Carter. Today's news, rippling through the close-knit world of the bold and the beautiful, confirms the greatest fear of the Logan, Spencer, and Forrester clans. Sheila is spiraling, and her predictable, yet always shocking, need for acceptance is reaching a dangerous fever pitch. The question on every fan's lips is no longer if she will strike, but how catastrophically she will detonate. The exclusion that ignited the fury. The catalyst for the current crisis is a seemingly small but deeply significant act. Sheila was deliberately uninvited to the Hope and Liam wedding. Deacon Sharp, Sheila's current husband, was forced to deliver the crushing blow, an emotional task he dreaded. Hope, guided by the deep-seated fears of her family and, tragically, the bad instincts of her young daughter, Beth, simply could not allow the woman who has wreaked decades of havoc to contaminate her sacred day. This exclusion has done more than just disappoint Sheila, it has confirmed her greatest fear and fueled her most volatile impulses. The narrative of her attempted redemption, her marriage to Deacon, her short-lived, seemingly genuine efforts to prove she has changed, has been brutally exposed as a sham in the eyes of the Forresters and Logans. She sees the rejection not as a consequence of her past attempts at murder, kidnapping, and manipulation, but as an unjust persecution by people who refuse to acknowledge her current happiness. She wishes that everyone would move on. However, everyone still sees her as a psychotic villain, even poor little Beth, who once got bad vibes from her. She's the one who made the guest list. Sheila wasn't willing to accept it. She felt tired of everyone seeing her as a villainous murderer. The tragedy here lies in Sheila's deeply flawed self-perception. She genuinely believes she has earned a place at the table, equating her marriage to Deacon with a full pardon for her sins. The world, however, does not forgive easily, especially when you have shot their loved ones and faked your own death by sacrificing a toe. The warning ignored, a Taylor/Sheila showdown. The most immediate and terrifying news is the confrontation that occurred between Sheila and Dr. Taylor Hayes. Taylor, herself a past victim of Sheila's bullets, confronted the enraged villainess, issuing a stark and professional warning: do not crash the wedding. This interaction, as reported, was explosive. Sheila, who often snaps when her perceived sanity is questioned, flew into a rage, demanding to know if Taylor, a psychiatrist, considered her crazy. While Taylor avoided the label, the underlying message was clear. Sheila's fury led her to smash a decorative vase, a classic sign of her impending eruption. What makes this development so heartbreaking is that Taylor, despite their history, has been a complicated figure in Sheila's recent attempt at normalcy. Sheila has, in her twisted way, seen Taylor as an ally or, at least, someone who understood her position as a woman who has also faced public judgment. For Taylor to draw a clear line in the sand, a line backed by the threat of police intervention, sends Sheila spiraling further into isolation. This isolation is always the most dangerous place for Sheila Carter, as it is where her dark schemes are conceived. The ripple effects, a house of cards. The mounting tension around Sheila is having profound, sad consequences across all families. Deacon's heartbreak. Deacon is caught in the impossible position between his daughter, Hope, and his wife, Sheila. He desperately wants to please both, but Hope's refusal to budge on the guest list forces him to choose his daughter's happiness. He will walk Hope down the aisle, but the knowledge that his new wife is at home, pouting and raging, casts a dark shadow over his greatest moment of paternal pride. His marriage to Sheila is now under its severest test, and the stability he found is beginning to crumble. The Forrester/Logan anxiety, the families are operating on edge. They've hired extra security, but everyone knows a locked door has never stopped Sheila Carter. Steffi Forrester, a two-time victim of Sheila's gun, remains hypervigilant. The wedding, instead of being a joyous occasion, is being held under a state of psychological siege. The sadness is that years of trauma prevent any genuine peace. The specter of Luna's tragedy. While some recent reports suggest a different tragedy, Luna Nozawa's apparent death, and Sheila's unusual display of grief, has shifted the immediate focus. The core threat of Sheila Carter remains constant. Whether grieving or raging, Sheila's emotional instability is a direct line to disaster. Her ability to feel genuine grief for her granddaughter, Luna, yet remain capable of monstrous acts, only underscores the complexity and danger of her character. Conclusion: a sad certainty of ruin. As the clock ticks down to the exchange of vows, the overwhelming mood is not one of excitement, but of inevitability. The current storyline is a masterclass in slow-burn tragedy. We know the bomb is set, and we are simply waiting for the final moment of impact. Will Sheila ruin everything? The sad truth, woven into the fabric of the bold and the beautiful, is that she almost certainly will. Whether she crashes the wedding in a spectacular, physically damaging fashion, or whether the emotional toll of her exclusion fractures her marriage to Deacon, her dark cloud is set to cast a long, cold shadow over the lives of everyone in Los Angeles.